Hi, I'm Jamieson-Hirst of Chatterbox Quilts. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the 10 things I wish I'd known before I started quilting. Number 1 is the absolutely must-have essential tools for when you first start quilting. So you absolutely must have a rotary cutter, a ruler, at least one ruler, you'll accumulate more as you go along, I'm sure, and a cutting mat. Now, if you come from a garment sewing background, you may not have these, but these are the absolute minimum of tools that you'll need to have when you first start quilting. The second thing I wish I'd known when I first started quilting was how to use these tools efficiently and, more importantly, safely. If you've never used a rotary cutter before, you need to get into the habit of opening the cutter, cutting, and then closing the cutter. I do this every time, even if I'm going to take another cut in, 2 seconds. I do this all the time. It prevents cuts, and believe me, rotary cutters are extremely sharp. And if you have it closed and you accidentally hit it with your hand on your cutting mat, you're not going to cut yourself. And even more importantly, if you happen to drop it and it hits your foot, you're not going to have to go to the emergency room for stitches. The third thing I wish I'd known before I started quilting is that you're going to be building a fabric stash, and that the fabrics in that fabric stash should range from lights through to mediums and even dark fabrics. It's really important to have a contrast in your fabrics so that your projects shine. The fourth thing I wish I'd known before I started quilting was how to properly prepare my fabrics for quilting, and that's really important. Now, I'm not going to talk about pre-washing, that's a whole other topic, but I am going to talk about the fact that you need to press your fabrics before you start cutting them, before you start stitching them. It's the first thing I do anytime I start a new project. And what I like to do is take my fabric, I like to spray it with Easy Press solution. You can use your favorite starch alternative. And then I press, not iron, my fabrics. And if you're not sure what pressing is, let me show you. It is not moving your iron all over the place, which can possibly distort your fabric. It is an up and down motion, and you just move your iron along and let it sit for a few seconds, and then move it to the next one. So it's really important to prepare your fabrics before you start doing anything else with them. The fifth thing I wish I'd known was some quilting acronyms. You'll hear a lot of those and it can be really confusing for a new quilter. So if you'll know these right off the bat, it's much more helpful. So when you see things like HSTs, which are half square triangles, or different kinds of pre-cuts such as fat quarters or jelly roll strips, knowing these acronyms is really helpful and can ease the confusion when you're first starting to quilt. The sixth thing is how to read a quilt pattern. And again, this is different than reading a garment sewing pattern. So if you are not familiar with a quilt pattern, it's a good idea to go through, read it all through first. And if there are sections that you don't understand, you can always look them up online or ask some of your quilty friends. But knowing how to read the pattern so that you can start your project is something I wish I'd known when I first started quilting. The seventh thing I wish I'd known, and is extremely crucial to quilting, is how to get an accurate 1/4-inch seam. So if you are fortunate, you may have more than one foot that you can use on your sewing machine that will give you that accurate 1/4-inch seam. If you don't, you can typically buy one that will work with your model and brand of sewing machine. Number 8 is that it's okay to make mistakes. That almost rhymes, doesn't it? That's why they've made seam rippers. So as you go through, you may find that your seam isn't exactly a 1/4-inch, or you're just not happy with something, and it's definitely okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn, all right? And by the way, learning to use a seam ripper is important too. If you have one that has the red little ball on it, that's the part that goes underneath when you are ripping your seams like this. If I can get it in here. Here we go. And you can just kind of run it along, and that will take your seam apart. But a lot of people don't know how to use their seam rippers properly, and they use them the other way around. But this goes inside your seam and goes along. This part is on the outside. So not like this, but like that. Number 9 is that it's a good idea to start with a small project. Sure, we all want to make that gorgeous bed quilt, but it's better to start with a small project, say a mug rug or a placemat. That way you use less fabric, it takes less time, and you'll get a result that will make you feel confident and improve your skills so you can move on to bigger projects. And number 10 is how fun quilting can be and how many friends you can make through this craft. If I'd known this before I started quilting, I would have started years ago. Now here's a bonus, number 11. I wish I'd known about spray basting quilts. How much easier that is than using pins. Now, if you're wondering how to spray baste your quilt, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out this video that has all the information that you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.